On the 3rd of March, 1945, a Marine combat cameraman rolled film on an extraordinary scene. A lone Japanese soldier crouched inside a cave on Iwo Jima, surrounded on all sides by United States Marines. Nobody in that frame could have known it. But what happened in the next few minutes would erase one of the most celebrated cameramen of the entire Second World, war from existence, and the mystery of exactly how it would remain unsolved. For more than 80 years, until now, historians believed those final, fatal moments were never captured on film, but a sequence of 6 extraordinary photographs, mislabeled, misfiled, and quietly forgotten in the archives for 8 decades, combined with an unpublished eyewitness manuscript, are raising a possibility nobody expected. Could the details buried inside those 6 images, cross-referenced with modern investigative technology, finally answer the question that has haunted military historians for generations? Could we identify the exact spot where those final moments took place and offer the first genuine chance since 1945 to bring Sergeant William Homer Genost home? We believe the answer is yes. Our findings were compelling enough that we've now formally submitted them to the Defense WWII accounting agency, in the hope that they might, at long last, lead to his recovery. In this video, we'll walk you through the complete investigation from start to finish, every document, every photograph, every contradiction, and let you decide for yourself whether the evidence justifies one more attempt to bring a lost Marine home. But first, why does Sergeant William Bill Genost matter so much? The answer, remarkably, comes down to 8 seconds of film on the 23rd of February, 1945, standing shoulder to shoulder with Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal and fellow Marine cameraman Bob Campbell atop Mount Suribachi. Genost captured one of the defining images of the entire war, the second raising of the American flag on Iwo Jima. Those 8 seconds of moving film transformed one of history's most iconic still photographs into one of its most unforgettable pieces of footage that would be studied, replayed, and remembered for generations. And yet those 8 seconds are only a fraction of Bill Genost's story. By the time he set foot on Iwo Jima, Bill was already regarded as one of the finest combat cameramen in the entire Marine Corps. Having survived one of the most brutal campaigns of the Pacific War, he'd already seen combat and captured footage on Saipan, earning both a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart along the way. At 38 years old, well above the age of most men storming that beach, he landed with the very first waves on Iwo Jima. Camera already rolling, his first shot, filmed from the deck of LST-70, captured the assault waves of 1st Battalion, 28th Marines closing in on Green Beach, men identifiable, even now, by the paint marks on their faces and the distinctive markings on one PFC's fatigues. Before the reel is even a minute old, we already know precisely where Genost was standing that morning. Once ashore, his camera caught the sheer chaos of the landing. The Japanese garrison had pre-sighted every square foot of that beach and waited, letting the Americans come well within range before opening fire. They could barely miss. Within minutes, the sand was littered with hundreds of casualties. Genost kept filming anyway. 4 days later, his lens would capture that legendary second flag raising atop Mount Suribachi, footage that would eventually be seen by millions around the world. Bill Genost would never know it. After the flag raising, his movements become harder to trace. He was busy nearly every day as the Marines pushed north, documenting combat, field hospitals, and experimental weapons like the 1-ton rocket-launching trucks. He even filmed rare quiet moments. Corporal Edward Burkhardt and his adopted stray, nicknamed Suribachi Sioux. By early March, Sergeant Genost had already shot 24 reels of 16mm film, roughly an hour of footage documenting one of the war's bloodiest campaigns. His 25th reel would be the most dramatic of all. After filming the smoke of a heavy bombardment, Jinost carried his camera up to an observation post overlooking the front lines. From there, he trained his lens on an M4 Sherman Zippo tank, an experimental flamethrower variant, as it hurled jets of burning fuel into Japanese positions. Below, that reel is the last known film Bill Jinost ever shot. His close friend Bob Campbell was right beside him, as he always was. But by the time Campbell sat down to write the captions for 6 photographs he'd taken that day, the location had taken on a very different, very personal meaning. Hill 382, scene of cave area where Jinost was killed. The exact sequence of events in Jinost's final moments has never been fully resolved. Every official record seems to open a new question rather than close one. Let's walk through the mystery. 2 official accounts give us the bare bones of the story. Jinost's certificate of death offers a brief summary. A photographer attached to the D2 section. Serving with the 28th Marines on the 3rd of March, 1945. Last seen just outside a cave entrance. Believed to have been struck down by machine gun fire from inside. Lieutenant John K. McLean of the D2 section reportedly watched him fall. Shortly afterward, his body was buried when demolition teams sealed the cave entrance with explosives. A sworn statement from Bob Campbell, dated May 1945, adds a devastating personal account. Standing only 15 feet away when the machine gun burst struck his friend at point-blank range, Campbell said he watched the bullets cut him down and believed Jinost died instantly, killed, in his words, while helping others trapped inside a huge cave on the southwest slope of what he called Hill 365. His body remained at the cave entrance, buried under tons of earth. When the unit finally moved on, here's where things start to unravel. The death certificate says the 3rd of March. Campbell's sworn statement says the 4th, and Campbell's own photograph captions say Hill 382, while his written statement says Hill 365. Small discrepancies, perhaps, but each one is critical to reconstructing exactly what happened. And where? Let's start with the timeline. Officially, Jinost's date of death is listed as the 4th of March, 1945, the date carved into his memorial marker at Old Woodlawn Cemetery in Pipestone, Minnesota. Official doesn't always mean accurate, though Marine Corps casualty cards tell a slightly different story. Jinost was initially reported missing on the 3rd of March and only officially declared dead the following day. This pattern isn't unusual in cases where a death was witnessed, but no body could be recovered. The paperwork only gets messier from there. A muster roll from the missing persons detachment lists Jinost as missing from the 4th Marine Division as of the 3rd of March, a detail later flagged as an outright error. Meanwhile, the muster roll for his actual unit, Headquarters Battalion, 5th Marine Division, lists him as killed on the 4th of March, complete with burial information that, on closer inspection, actually belongs to a completely different Marine, PFC Kenneth Coet, who was killed on the 15th of March and was the one actually resting in that grave. A single day's discrepancy might sound trivial, but it's the key to answering the far more important question. Where exactly did this happen? Historical sources point toward 5 possible locations. One can be eliminated almost immediately. Campbell's Hill 365 simply never existed on Iwo Jima, almost certainly a slip of memory, or a simple transcription error. The second candidate, Hill 382, from Campbell's own photo captions, did exist, but the physical and visual evidence strongly suggests this too was a mistake. On the 3rd and the 4th of March, Hill 382 sat squarely inside the 4th Marine Division zone of operations, more than 1,500 yards south of Genost's own 5th Marine Division sector, with the entire 3rd Marine Division's combat zone sitting in between. Photographers had some freedom to roam, and Genost had served alongside the 4th Division back on Saipan, but Lieutenant McLean, who was present that day, was firmly embedded with the 28th Marines of the 5th Division. It seems highly unlikely his regiment would risk a specialist language officer wandering into another division sector when the 4th Division had its own interpreters on hand. Now look closely at Campbell's very first photograph, a jagged, imposing rock formation, again captioned Hill 382. Modern analysis tells a different story. Pre-invasion aerial reconnaissance photos reveal a very distinctive shape from above. A flat-topped hill with two prominent high points and a gully running between them. Overlaying that silhouette against a modern satellite map of Iwo Jima gives us our answer. This isn't Hill 382 at all. It's Hill 362. There are, in fact, 3 separate Hill 362s scattered across the island, each in a very different sector. We can rule out 362C immediately. It remained under Japanese control on the 4th of March, ruling out any American patrol reaching it. Hill 362B is a stronger candidate, but it was the site of heavy, ongoing combat on the 3rd and 4th as elements of the 26th and 27th Marines pushed north toward Kita, and Genost's certificate places him with the 28th Marines. Not those units. That leaves Hill 362A, a formidable strongpoint, literally honeycombed with caves, gullies, and concealed firing positions, protecting an extensive underground network. The 28th Marines had stormed and held the summit on the 1st of March, but fighting raged on for 2 more days as they tried to clear Japanese holdouts from the hill's northern slopes. Comparing the profile visible in Campbell's photograph to the modern